Good afternoon, all of you, and I would we would start the webinar, and it's my privilege to welcome all the guests today for this webinar session on digital HR, and we have got three very eminent guests today with us who will be talking on this said topic. First, it's my opportunity to introduce to all the participants out there is Captain Vinay Singh. He's a armed forces officer with 3 decades of distinguished service in Indian Navy. Besides being an accomplished naval operations expert, Sir possesses vast experience in leading organizations, people management, creating high impact teams, employee engagement, training and development, and Sir now leads Zeal Venture at Zing HR. Welcome you, sir, on behalf of Parel University. The next guest today we have Dr. Anupama Iyer. Madam is a PhD in HRM, MBA HR from Narsing Monji. She is an HR consultant and a trainer with around 25 years of experience across financial services, HR and education. Ma'am is also visiting professor at Narsing Monji, RISB Management Institute, Amity Global Business School, and many more. The next we have the program facilitator for today is Dr. Pranati. She is PhD in organization behavior and has got 15 years of industry and academic experience in digital HR. Ma'am has got exposure in cognitive processes of organizational behavior, HR analytics, performance management, talent management, leadership development, and agile HR. On behalf of Parel University and Faculty of Management Studies, I welcome all the panelists and I hand over the session to Dr. Pranati for future discussions. Dr. Pranati, please take over.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna, for a quick introduction. I welcome all the participants of Parel University. I also express my sincere welcome, and it's been a pleasure to have Gopal Krishnamurthy sir who has joined us today. So thank you, sir, for joining us. It gives us a lot of motivation when senior people like you are there with us for the session. So with this introduction of digital HR, I'll just myself and Dr. Anupama, we will take this program. So I would just request Dr. Anupama to start with the program.
Thank you, Dr. Pranati. Thank you, Dr. Sapna, for a very warm welcome. It's a delight to be here.
Pleasure is ours, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So I'll get on the session. I'll get started with it. All right. I will be sharing screen now. Do I need permissions?
No, ma'am. You can directly start with the present now option, and you can present the slides or the screen.
I'll do that. Yeah, I'm just doing that. All right. So is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am, it's uploading. It is visible.
Yes.
It is visible.
All right. Okay, great. So let's begin. Okay. So before I get started, so first of all, I just want to introduce us very briefly. So at Zeal, basically, we are very actively involved in this transformation, in this transformation from traditional HRM to the world of digital HRM. We are very confident and we are very sure that this is how things are going to be in the world of HR. And this has become the need of the hour, which is why we have, embarked upon this journey to build some awareness and share some insights with people across, to let them know that these are some skills which we need to develop. And so today's session is all about that. It's a very brief orientation, and maybe towards the end of it, we'll share, what programs we have and how we can go about it. So that is what this talk is all about. All right. So now before I get into what digital HR is today, let me just quickly take you all through the evolution of HRM. Okay, the journey of HR. Now, for most of us here, we'll know, when it started, it was just right from the early days, it was just welfare officer. Then there was a little more structure, you have labor manager. And probably from the time that we can relate to, we have personal managers, right? People who handle administrative work in HR. There's some amount of compliance, probably a little bit of, policy making. However, the scope of activities was very limited and was very clearly a support function. There was no two ways about it. It was support. And then we graduated, I should say, into HRM, where there was enlarged scope. The focus was still administrative, but scope was more. Support function role continued, but it was a little more proactive, probably a little more sensitivity being built into the policies, probably a little more focus on performance, maybe looking at goal setting and things like that. So the role kind of slightly evolved. And then, of course, the buzzword now is all about strategic HRM. All right. So here we speak of HR as a strategic business partner, where HR is an active stakeholder. HR department is made accountable for business decisions, extremely proactive, and it's a very multidisciplinary, multifaceted role. So this is how we have the whole, journey happening. Now, if I had to take directly into the processes, into the function of how HRM would work, traditionally, if you see, there's plenty of paperwork, administrative function, lot of manpower, time-consuming tasks, and the process was typically very slow. And most importantly, the human error component. This is something which all of us have, probably noted. All of us have mentioned that there is chance of error, there is chance of subjective bias. There are these typical things that we will associate with the HR department. Digitally, if you see, the scenario has completely changed. Okay, so it's access anywhere, very omnipresent kind of a requirement, very less paperwork. Transparency is more. The processes are very quick. It's very time efficient. Not naturally, it's cost effective. So if you see, the response time has significantly shrunk here. So that shows, the way in which the nature of the working of the HR has shifted. So what has made this possible? Definitely, it is only technology. If we did not have access to this, then naturally it would have not happened. So what has happened to the workplace today? The workplace is a technologically transformed workplace. So what would characterize this? Typically we will say, yes, employees want to stay connected at all times. So that's number one. You want things to be done in a much shorter period of time. People want to be able to communicate better. There's a lot more transparency. Overall, your responsiveness, we are building more agility into the system. So the technologically transformed workplace comes to you with a very different set of characteristics. Gone are the days when you would put in an application and somebody would say, okay, so and so is not there today, so we'll get back to you, after 2-3 days. Aaj ye person chutti pe hai. So all those things are don't exist anymore. Now, in this context, I think it's very important for me to just share just some bit about industry speak, what is happening around us. If you see, 75% of business leaders are reporting that if their companies do not increase digitalization by 2020, then they will no longer be competitive. Now, if you can say, this is a very high number. So, and this is especially true in these pandemic times, and people have all absolutely revamped the way in which they're working. I'm sure education and institutions, we have ourselves revamped ourselves so much, and it's no stranger to us. Now, 91% of the organizations are engaged in some manner of digital initiative in whatever form. Okay, it may not be a very exhaustive way, but some engagement is already happening. In small and medium organizations, again, 20% of the medium and 80% of the small have no HR departments. Okay, so this is again a reality of it is the ground reality. However, the most common function for where they would use HR technology is operations. So 40% of them use it for payroll, leave, attendance. Those kind of modules they use. If I had to take the case of HR in specific, 46% HR leaders are reporting that their employees lack the technological skills necessary to drive future performance. So typically this is more because people are aware of HR concepts, people are aware of their functional domains. However, to integrate that with the technology by using the right skills, the technological skills, seems to be a huge gap. So therefore, it brings us to the next obvious question, that if this is the fact, then what is the value proposition? I mean, if I had to digitalize my HR department, what do I get? So first and foremost is secure, compliant, and protected data. So there's a lot of data security here. Mobile access, all of us who have worked, and we even earlier and now more so, we can all safely say most of the work happens on that 6-inch screen. Everybody is on their mobile, whether it's a mail, whether it's reading something, whether we have to revert. So mobile access is very, very important. So that is very possible. The third thing is that our employee workplace, the categories have changed a lot now. See, earlier, if you see, we had permanent employees and we might have some few temporary employees. Today, the contracts are very, very diverse. We acquire talent in various forms. Today we are not just recruiting by filling in a particular vacancy. That simplicity we have lost in these years. So what happens is we have temporary, we have contractual staff, we have people who are working through some outsourced partners. We have many categories now. We have trainees and so on. So we get a lot of flexibility in managing the different categories of employees. So that's a big advantage. Then you have performance tracking systems itself. Now, if you actually look at it, if for a moment I put aside the technological jargon. Okay, supposing I said, let me not talk of 360-degree, balance scorecard, this and that, and graphic rating scales and all of it. Ultimately, any manager, no matter who, any manager only wants to know what their people are doing. It's very simple. I mean, even if you all are students here, your professors only want to know what you're up to in the class. Okay, and we just want to know how much you have actually learned out of whatever has been imparted. So the performance tracking is a very simple goal, which technology makes very easily and very transparently possible. So that's one advantage. And then, of course, most importantly, today data analytics is emerging in a big way. When we reach that module, we will discuss this, of course. But the need for organizations today to get data very quickly and make use of that data to drive business decisions, that has become very, very important, and it is a very dynamic requirement. It keeps changing also. So data analytics is important. And along with that, what makes it also possible is the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So these are two things that we will touch upon. So these are certain things which are, the value proposition for digitalizing HR. And above everything else, it's a very integrated platform across all your other HR functions. So that's something which is a big plus. So what is our present scenario? So if you see, our present scenario is, yes, we have an industry gap. What is this gap? The fact that people don't have the technological skills. What we also see is a huge employment opportunity where a lot of people can be put to productive use, where we can actually find ourselves better jobs, provided we reskill our competencies. Okay, so the whole focus here is we need to reskill our competencies, because if you see all the other functions, to some extent there was digitalization which was happening. HR, the need has evolved now, and it is just, it's like it's spreading, it's growing exponentially. Now, if I had to take the case of the hiring trends, companies, 93% of the companies, which is again a very high number, they want to hire young, digitally savvy people. Why? Because most of their work is designed around teams, productivity, empowerment. So they prefer that they have people who know how to, who are very comfortable and conversant with operating on digital platforms and systems, because that makes them far more productive, and it helps them perform better. So for the companies, this has become a very important need. Now, if you had to take a look at the global trends also, 56% have redesigned their HR to leverage digital and mobile tools. So most of them are using some extent. It could be a small employee query handling system, or it could be some LMS or something which they have put on mobile. 33% are using some form of artificial intelligence or the other. So 33% means that's almost like 1/3. And why they are using it is for some HR solutions. So it could be as simple as some chatbot, some interactive, something is being done on that. And 41% are actively building mobile applications to deliver HR services. So that is again a huge number. So is my pace all right? Are we comfortable with the pace at which I'm doing it? And do you have any queries or anything?
Ma'am, absolutely fine, ma'am.
Fine? All right, great. If you have any queries, then you can put it on chat. Pranoti or me will, answer it. Yeah.
Sure. The students, if they have any queries, you can please drop in the chat box, and Madam can address that later. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So now let me take you all to the screen's visible, right? The presentation screen, because I just swapped windows now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am. It's visible.
Okay, great. Okay. So now we say that let's we just went about and tried to find out which are some of the most important digital competencies for HR people. All right. So the first thing that came up was social media platforms. Now this is see, it's very interesting to note that the leadership in many organizations, even middle level management or senior level management, who are excellent in terms of their performance, however, are a little social media shy. People are not very conversant with how to handle the Twitter and the LinkedIn and the other ways of engaging with the broader audience and the employees at large. So to upskill oneself in this has become very important. The second is the use of HR information system. So here what we notice is, see, the HR system is nothing. It's just going to replicate your own HR process, but it's going to do it digitally. However, there is a certain mindset, or there is a certain way how you have to perceive it, how the system might work. So that kind of thinking, that orientation becomes very necessary. So a basic understanding of how an HR information system might work, that it might require configurations, that it might, flow work in a certain way. That awareness is very important. The third, of course, is talent acquisition software. Now, we all know that the nature of recruitment is changing. Okay, once upon a time, when somebody would resign, then the company will put out an ad, which would typically be in the newspapers. And then from there, people would apply and, then people would, the resumes would arrive and then they would be shortlisted. Today, people keep an eye open for good people, good talent, whether or not there is a position. Okay, so now naturally, if you see, that means the sky is the limit, right? I mean, everybody is a potential talent to the company. Now, naturally, your competitors are also eyeing the same people. So your ability to pounce or your ability to hire the right talent quickly makes a lot of difference. And that is only possible if you have some comfort with talent acquisition software, in terms of understanding or probably learning to do searches better or trying to get the best out of whatever websites are there. So that orientation is very important. The fourth, of course, is cloud technology. Again, this is very important because, again, this is something all of us know, because we access our mails, we access our work wherever we are. All of this is possible only because we have all the information we need out there on the cloud. Now, naturally, this has changed the way in which organizations work because everything is available at all times. So everyone is expected to be responsive at all times. Gone are the days when you would say that, okay, I'm not in office, so can I come back and tell you that? That's not acceptable anymore. Everyone is expected to know. So an understanding of how cloud technology works, how can it make work better, more seamless, help the customer better. So all of this becomes another important competency. Gamification techniques. Who doesn't love games? All of us do. But again, if you see, once upon a time, if you had to look at training function or say even in the classroom, right? So we if you're talking about behavioral based subject, then yes, we always play games, just to debrief and kind of pass the learnings on. Organizations are using this fantastically now. So what they would do is you can make use of games to carry out simulation exercises. Okay, and help people learn things better. So as part of their learning modules, or even in terms of engagement, if an employee walks into office and he logs in and there is a small puzzle awaiting the employee, or there is a chota sa quiz or something, some method of engagement. So the role of gamification has increased significantly. And then, of course, we have talent management software, which is everything right from the time he has joined the organization. We have onboarded him, onboarded money, like the person has joined the organization. And from there on until the time that this person has quit the organization. So these are some of the competencies which HR professionals are expected to have. So for our program today, what we have planned to do is we are just going to give you a very brief orientation of the digital HR program. Okay. We, for today's purpose, have structured it in terms of these 4 core modules. So we will speak of recruitment. We are going to speak of performance management. We will speak of learning management, and we are going to speak of dashboard and analytics, basically the reporting part of it. Okay, so this is the way we have structured the session. So what we'll do is I'll give you a small brief about what this recruitment can do, and Dr. Pranoti will do a small tech demo of what can actually happen. So you can kind of see how this whole thing will work in the system. So that is what we are planning to do. Now, the other thing here is that for our purpose today, we are going to use our Zing HR system. Why are we using it? We are using it because number one, we find it to be very flexible. Two, it has all the features that we think is necessary for people to, know and understand about moving into a digital system, whether you are a practitioner yourself or you may want your organization to do it, or whether you want to just upskill yourself and learn. So we want to be able to share the maximum that we can. So that is the reason why we have done it. However, an organization may have any other system, and yet if you see, the flow will be more or less the same. The interface, as in the way it would appear to you, may be different, but the features would be mostly the same. So this is the way we have planned the session. Now, as I said earlier, if there are concepts or things that we are speaking about that that are not very clear, or that are how do I say, there's some explanation that you need, so you are always free to put your query in the chat box and we will address those. All right, so now let's go ahead with our module. So we take the first one, which is talent acquisition. So what I've done is, so we've typically structured it this way. So first, let's take recruitment. Let's see what is the scenario, and then let's see what issues we have and how we are going to rectify that. So that's the way it is. Now, if you looked at traditional recruitment, 52% of talent acquisition leaders experience a huge challenge in screening talent from a large pool of candidates. See, once upon a time, we only got in response. See, today, anybody is free to apply. Correct. So let's say a candidate is completely unsuitable. Does it mean he will not apply? No, he will also apply. Now that means, imagine the number of CVs that a person gets and how we are able to shortlist out of it. I'll share an example here. One very large engineering firm in our country wanted to hire people, and during this hire, they received close to 10,000 CVs. Now you tell me 10,000 CVs to shortlist and take out, say, some 200 people or 150 people out of it is a massive challenge. And imagine if you had to complete the task in, say, 10 days or 15 days because you have some project which needs to go live, then you realize that it is a practically a humanly impossible task, right? Now, what happens is, in this kind of a situation, you realize that there is a very important need for us to kind of familiarize ourselves and learn the technology so that we can just get all the CVs through the system, let the system do the work for us. So we ultimately only have to interview the people and issue them the offer. So it's that kind of a challenge and scenario we look at. Now, if I had to just share a few other metrics, the cost per hire is 250,000. So now what does this mean? That if my hire decision is not right, then that's the cost that's going down the drain. That's one. It on an average takes 42 days to, the time to fill metric. So time to fill metric looks at from the day a requisition is raised. So now how does recruitment happen? One department will say, I need so many people. All right. So if from the day the requisition is raised to the time that the person joins in, the average is 42 days. That means 6 weeks. Okay. And that's very, very long time. And 28% is the average HR cost out of the firm's total operating expenses. So here, these are just some studies which have revealed these to us. So how do you think this would happen, through the virtual system or through the digital system? So again, if you see in that funnel there, we have all of these people standing there, right? So this is the entire pool of wherever I can get it from. Through people, it could be through the company's website, it could be through some some employee's reference, it could be through Naukri, it could be through the social media, wherever. So I've got them all in, and the system itself will be able to shortlist and find out who is the best fit. Okay, so here we make use of robotic interviews, we make use of machine learning and so on. So I will show you those when we do the tech demo. But we are able to do all of it so that we are ultimately able to only select the people who seem to be the best fit. Then once we are able to shortlist those people, then you can conduct whatever interviews you wish to or whatever tests that you want to. You do all that, and then after a very careful comparison across so many parameters, you finally get the right decision, and that's how your higher decision is always the chances of you getting your higher right is much higher in this case. So how does cognitive talent acquisition happen? So basically this whole set of technologies, they just do something very simple. They gather pre-existing social data and information. Okay, so let's say somebody has put something on LinkedIn or somebody has put something, so it has the ability to go and look at all of it and apply advanced cognitive capabilities to deliver some actionable analysis. Okay, how does this happen? So the first thing it does for us is it can rank your acquisition priorities. Now, see, ideally, we know when we work, right? Supposing we always say this when we work, we say the person who makes the noise the most, will get their job done faster. Organizations are no different. So, but sometimes if you see that person may not be the rightmost person to be served first. Maybe there is another department or there is another priority business-wise which actually needs a certain requisition to be filled in faster. So ranking will take care of these kind of issues. So it tells you very clearly from the business perspective which requisition should be filled. The second is a fit score technique. So what happens is this is useful for candidate shortlisting. So like when I was talking to you all about, we said supposing we did it all manually, then I know that an interview sheet will typically contain some 5 or 10, maybe even 20 attributes. Okay, but system can compare up to 200 attributes or more. 200. So that is the level at which the comparison can take place. Now, naturally, if you see the possibility of your fit score, the candidate's fitness to your organization being better is immensely high. I mean, there is no match at all. So fit score techniques are used. Then you have psychometric profiling, behavioral assessment, which is something, again, many of you might be familiar with. They do MBTI, or we can have the Big Five. Basically, these are, psychometric tests that we undertake to understand better about a candidate's personality. So profiling is done. You can have the use of chatbots, so we have with us Zingo, Olivia, Xor, TalkPush. So there are several of them. And then, of course, most importantly, you have predictive algorithms, which will forecast trends, and it can also forecast certain behavioral patterns. So naturally, what is the advantage of this whole story? So there is to be something for us. The first thing is speedy results. Okay, due to standardized automated processes, So when you look at things for the system, it's only logic, right? So it will look at the factors, it will look at what the data is, it will compare those results, and then it will present it to you. We eliminate exorbitant costs because otherwise we will have to call multiple number of placement agencies, external recruiters, so on. So all of these are also adding to the cost of the organization. So we do away with that. Data-driven results with increasing matching accuracy. So matching accuracy is because of the fit score. So what happens is I'm very clearly able to take a stand, and supposing I'm the person, who's to lead the HR, and then we go to the MD and say that, no, I have hired this person first because this department is more important and this is the reason why, So you are able to back your work with proper evidence. And there is a significant reduction in human bias and error. And this, I think, is the biggest win, because all along in the world of HR, if you see, there will always be talk about interview is contrast bias. If supposing somebody comes in and you feel that the person before him was very good, then the next person starts looking worse. So this is a very common bias. Or even in organizational performance appraisal, there is some margin of error whenever we rate our employees. So this kind of reduces very significantly. So what we will do is we will now pause here and we will take a look at the technical demonstration of the cognitive recruitment process. Over to you, Dr. Pranoti. And do we have any queries on what I have done so far? Any queries?
Absolutely. Any query in your mind, just feel free.
I think there is one on the chat. Okay, it's you only.
Yeah. So just feel free to post all your queries so that we can take up that even during the session and not just at the end. All right. So thanks, Dr. Anupam, for that. All the introductory setup for me to present what is the expectation from recruitment, as a process. So, like Dr. Anupama rightly said. Let me just present my screen. Okay, so like Dr. Anupama, as she said correctly, that nowadays we are getting over with the traditional recruitment act, as it has certain disadvantages when it comes to your effectiveness, efficiency, and human biasness. And also, with the advent of technology, there have been a lot of advancements in terms of delivering HR outcomes. Okay, so whether it is with respect to any HR function, uh, delivering of outcomes has become much simpler, and with the use of digital HR platforms. So this is just a system. I hope everyone can see my screen. So I've just logged into the product Zing HR, which is a digital HR platform. Under that, I can see there's a lot of modules with respect to HR functions which are being configured. Let me just take you through recruitment module uh, right now. So, all right. So, what are the expectations from different stakeholders in the recruitment team? Okay. So, if I talk about, let's say, as a talent acquisition head, what is it that he would like to see from the digital HR platform? So probably he would just like to have a quick look at how his team is doing in terms of recruitment, or probably he would just like to have a look at some of the analytics which can tell him what are the open positions, how many positions, how many candidates have been interviewed, how many of them have been issued offer letters. So as a recruitment head, I would just like to have a watch over all the analytics on the dashboard. So this is a dashboard wherein in a single screen I can get entire information about, for example, what are the top 5 sources of my candidate profiling. What are the top 5 sources based on which candidate hiring is being done, right? So that is what I would like to have a look at. And in terms of open requisition, what is the status? Okay, how many of them are pending? How many of them being posted through internal job posting, through referrals, through career platforms? Probably that is what I would like to see as a recruitment head. Now, this is about the one stakeholder. Now, in a recruitment team, there would be talent acquisition head, talent acquisition manager. Even a CHRO would like to see all these analytics. Then probably there would be a recruiter. So these are different roles when it comes to your recruitment process. Now, how do I see all those different roles in the system? Right. So let's say I have to, the recruitment process will start with, as you know, manpower planning, right? So I need to have certain planning in terms of what is my budgeted number of people that I would like to recruit for respect to, it could be with respect to designation. You can also change this, okay? And you can, if you want to vary it with respect to, let's say, department wise, okay, or grade wise or band wise, okay? Function wise, I want to do manpower planning. So that is totally configurable. So this is how the system will give you flexibility to have different permutation combination by setting up your recruitment process. So this is just one kind of flexibility that system will give. Now once that I know that I need for a particular, I have this certain budgeted versus what is the actual and what is the fit, what is the net gap. So let's say I have 15 positions vacant for this particular designation, okay? Because I would be operating under different regions, zones. Where is there? There is a position of director under each zone. So I have these, probably 15 new open positions. So let's say then, I would like to, just raise a requisition, okay, for that particular position. Okay. So let's say I will just go to create requisition. Now, how do I do it? Okay. Now let's say I would have a band job bank, right? With me, job description bank. So as a system will always, give me a flexibility to edit existing job description. So when I say, okay, I have, flexibility to use my existing job description. Okay. So I say that for this particular position of, there are certain job specifications which I need. Probably what I need is, planning. Okay, probably what I need is skills such as insightful analysis. Okay, so I can, always highlight them. Okay, and and I can add up to the necessary skill sets. Okay, so probably what I can do is I can add it to essential, important, good to have skills, and I can also toggle it. So let's say I want to tell this, probably this is a junior position, I'll just shift it from essential to important skill set. So system will give me entire flexibility in terms of adding new skill set for a particular position. So based on which, I will define a model. So for this particular position, let's say for a position description of director, I need certain essential skills as leadership, team management. So I am now trying to give inputs to the machine that these are my essential, important, and good to have skill sets, based on which I am creating a models. Okay. So when I say these are my models, so I will create certain models. Okay. And about essential skill sets. Also, I can define certain competency as well. Okay, so for example, for this particular position, I would say I would require a essential competency model. Of course, I can also create my own competency models, and I can choose that. So let's say for this particular position of director, I would say that tell the machine that, okay, these are what certain desired competencies and skill set which are required to shortlist a candidate. Now, this is how, you can set up all necessary parameters with respect to the salary range and, monthly or yearly salary you want to set up, any CTC that you would like to bracket it. That is what you can, set up. So once I have set up all these entire criterias, next thing is, important thing is about, now how do I have created a requisition. I have created a position to which I have described these are the certain desired characteristics. Next thing that comes is, now as a talent acquisition manager, what do I would like to do? So I have created a position. I have created its desired, defined its desired skill sets and its competencies. Next thing important is, how do I get it channelized? So what kind of different channels I can use? I can assign it to the recruiter. Okay, and I can also check, okay, what is the workload of this particular recruiter, on which positions he is working, and how he has been doing. So that also I can check. So then basis which I can take a call whether do I assign an additional recruitment requirement to that recruiter, or maybe possibly, I can just use a channel of internal job posting and publish it on our internal portal, and or a website or a company announcement. Can I do that? So that is what internal job posting you can do. Whether I can also create a employee referral, wherein employee will see it on their own screen while they log into the system, and they can refer some of the candidates for this particular position. Or maybe possibly I would like to also post it on social media. Probably this can be given to external consultant. So as a talent acquisition manager, I can address that through a single screen. And then once I have chosen, okay, I will assign it to a particular recruiter, and then when the recruiter goes to his login, what he would see is the sourcing screen. Okay, so based on which he will start receiving all the resumes and profiles. Okay, and now that I have given certain inputs to machine, so machine would probably would give me certain results with respect to fitment. Okay, like Anupama rightly said about the fit score. Okay, so what is desired versus actual, that fit score I can have. So let's say I have defined a particular position as for this software developer, and what I can have is I can just screen some of the or shortlist resumes. Now just take a condition wherein as a recruiter I have to shortlist profiles or resume in a single day, and the amount of time you can imagine that as a human being it would take probably a day or two. Okay, and this is what a machine is doing it for me. A machine using a machine learning model, we can do it just in a fraction of seconds. So now using machine learning model, now out of all the 493 resumes I have received, whatever shortlisted modules I have received that list. Okay, so just in a quick glance, using machine learning model, I can see that every candidate's profile. What I can get is a fitment score. Okay, based on the resume that candidate has provided and whatever essential skills that we have defined and competencies that we have defined. So I can have that entire view of why the fitment score is probably 50% for this candidate and then probably 62% for this candidate. Okay, so all that summary I can have using when I have defined certain criteria using machine learning model. So that is a best part of it. Another advantage of it is now it has reduced a lot of human bias. Probably as a recruiter, I would have certain bias with respect to probably I would like to prefer students from Parul University. So because I am an alumni of Parul University, so probably those kind of certain biases can be overcome when you are having a machine learning model. Okay, and that can be taken care of. Now the next thing is that this is what about machine learning. Now let's have how artificial intelligence or robotic interview can help. This is the first stage. Now I would be a very outsmart candidate that I would just include all those keywords which have been there in the job description. So how do I take care of those outsmart candidates? So probably I can take them to the next stage and I can screen them further. So possibly using a robotic interview. Okay, for example, so during interview stage what you can do is there are a lot of HR interviews that goes on. Now imagine a situation wherein on an average if HR person has to do that HR round even for 10 minutes, and he has to probably interview 50 candidates, the amount of time that he would invest. Okay, or probably if we have a robotic interview in place wherein you can have pre-decided questions. Okay, so let's say you have certain sample set of questions available, let's say with respect to HR questions or any technical questions that you can have, and the candidate will answer. Okay, and you can schedule the interview for the candidate. Also, the system will automatically take care about aligning it with interviewer schedule. Okay, so the interviewer, you can just have that natural calendar syncing with even with the interviewer based on his calendar. You can align it, and that's how the system will automatically schedule the interviews, conduct the interviews. Now post the system has conducted the interviews based on the time and date that we have given, then as a recruiter you can just automatically view the report of interview. Okay, so I have to go to my reports gallery and I can just say, okay, what was the recommendation of my robotic interview. So let me just take you through some pre-existed reports. It's not allowing me a date. Okay. Let me just take you through some of the already existing. Okay, so okay, somehow it's not selecting the date. Let me just. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so these are some of the interview assessment which the system has given me. All right, so let's say I have to view the report of Mr. Shashikant, and I will just see. So probably, you can just see what has been his assessment test score. Okay. You can also, see what has been his sentimental analysis. So throughout the interview, you can see a graph of what are kind of sentiments that he has, gone through emotions, different emotions. So these analysis, you can also see a Big Five assessment or Ocean, psychometric test. You can configure different kind of psychometric profiling based on organization desirability. Okay, and system can give you that flexibility of designing those algorithms. So there are certain algorithms that goes and which are set in the system, and based on which we can obtain this entire report of a particular candidate. And at the end of it, it will give me a personality fitment, and as well as it will also give me a short summary report based on which I can further recommend the candidate to the next level of probably assessment. Now, as a recruiter, you can imagine the amount of time that I'm going to save if I use this machine learning and artificial intelligence concepts. Now, many organizations are using tools like robotic interviews, chatbots, in order to reduce a lot of transactional time which the HR team has to do. So these are certain transactional operations. Probably, if HR team can get away with, then they can use this time for probably more of a strategic purpose, or rather, they can, as a recruiter, he can use it for more for a candidate engagement. So if you see, even use through research, it has proven that it is the candidate engagement which comes as a very crucial factor for candidate to join any organization. And if you see the statistics, 50% of the recruiter do not engage any candidate post they have done selection of candidate. So it's this time during the selection of candidate till the time he joins, there is absolutely no candidate engagement. So how do as a recruiter we can increase this candidate engagement? So probably when we have reduced a lot of transactional time, we can utilize it for this our moreover in terms of engagement perspective. So that's the best part of the system that can give you at one glance. As a talent acquisition head, I can get what I want from the system in terms of my expectation, and as a talent acquisition manager, I can get information about, or I can design or do manpower planning. And as a recruiter, using AI and ML modules, I can reduce a lot of my time. So that's how recruitment model. Also, once you have done the recruitment, next stage is about onboarding the candidate. Okay. So, organization today are now using simpler mobile applications. So this is another mobile app. So we have an onboarding app wherein, you can just, as an external candidate, because till now your employee code has not been generated, you not join. But still, like I said, how do recruiter ensure that he has that candidate engagement? So using certain applications, tools like an onboarding app, a recruiter can ensure that a candidate is engaged even before he joins the organization. His probably induction formalities are being taken care of. So I can receive or offer letter on the app. I can just check my compensation details. I can accept or reject the offer letter. I can also get all necessary information with respect to my employment. I can also know about my teammates. Okay, you can connect with your team. You can complete all the necessary documentation part, compliance part, maybe which your background verification check can also be completed, and maybe compliance part with respect to probably your PF or statutory compliance documentation that needs to be done, employee details, bank details, identity proof submission, and maybe any other document upload that needs to be done. Even before joining the organization, I can complete all those induction formalities, and this flows seamlessly into the recruitment model and the employee life cycle. So that is how today's organizations can make use of digital HR platform tools, applications, so that there is a more onto the engagement level rather than just spending time onto the transactional activities, and focusing more on as a because they call it as a HR business partner. So how do I can moreover help my organization in driving its productivity, so I can reduce a lot of cost of recruitment using these some of the applications which a digital HR platform can provide. All right, so over to you, Anupama.
Thank you, Dr. Pranoti.
Yeah. Any queries, any questions from your end with respect to recruitment? All right. So we can move on, Dr. Anupama, to the next.
Yeah. Okay. So we move into the next module, which is performance management. Okay, so again, performance management is a very sensitive, very important area for anyone who is in the HR domain. So 90% HR heads of organizations feel their performance management systems do not yield accurate information. Now, if you say 90% is just too large a number. Now, why do you think they must be saying this? So basically, see, what happens is people collect a lot of information. Okay, so you have employees, all the levels, performance ratings, everything is there. But if you asked organizations and said, okay, so who would you like to promote? Are you going to use a performance rating? They'll say, yeah, we'll take a look at it. But we also have certain other processes. So why is the performance management system not able to confidently do what it is supposed to do? So that $1 million question will always remain, and every organization will have their own means of working around the performance system. Okay, so what are some of the challenges that we find? So typically one very simple thing we find is there is a huge disconnect. So usually what organizations do, they will plan their goals in April. By next March, they will go and assess. Now, usually if we assume an annual appraisal. Now, in the meantime, the organization's business plans have changed. Now, naturally, if the organization's plans change, the employee's goals will ideally change. So what happens? Then the employee is doing whatever his boss is telling him to do at that various point of time. So let's say in July, he's doing something, October, he's doing something, January, he's doing something. So there is no connection. Okay, so, and we are not able to keep that connection tied throughout the span of the appraisal period. Now, this is a huge challenge. The second thing, it's a very cumbersome physical process, which leads to delays in appraisal. So I'll tell you an interesting thing. So there was an organization which had close to 250, 300 people, and they were into, again, project work kind of a thing. So the leadership, when the leadership changed, they felt that it was important for us to distinguish, who are the good performers from the not so good ones. Okay, it was a very simple task. So, and then they went through the performance rating. So they saw that on a scale of 1 to 5, hardly anyone was rated below 4. Everybody was a 4.5, 4.1, 4.2. 4 ke niche, not even a soul. So this means that the organization has so many high performers. And if that were true, then the organization must be growing at some fantastic rate, which was again not happening. So what the CEO told their HR head was, please take some time, go back to the managers and tell them to distinguish and put down who are not performing well and who are performing well. Now, what did the managers do? So 6 weeks, they all took time and they went and they did this. 6 weeks later, the ratings came and what happened? Everybody was getting 3.5. So they said, what happened? So they said, no, we downgraded. So when they spoke to the managers, they realized that managers did not want their fingerprints on bad ratings because they did not want to offend their subordinates. Why? Because if they did it, there will be a conflict among their team. So they did not want to pick. To the team members themselves were, in that support kind of a mode, because everybody knows that, okay, if I point at somebody, then I'm going to be also in that same state. So if you see, the behavioral patterns in the organization strongly influence the physical appraisal process. So naturally what happens, we get subjective inconsistent rating. So ideally, if the rating were done right the first time, then that 4.5 should have remained 4.5, and every manager should have said, "No, I will not reduce the rating." But they didn't do that. So they all went and just downgraded. So this inconsistency is very alarming, in fact. The other problem that we face is, the data is very scattered. So organizations will say self-appraisal, then bosses appraisal. तो average लो तो भी सही नहीं लगता है. अलग अलग रखो तो करोगे क्या उसको? So we are not able to add proper value into the decision making process. If I have to look at a data, then ideally the data should point me in some direction, some useful direction. Either I should say, yes, I can promote. No, I
Sorry
can't
to
promote.
interrupt you, Dr. Anupama. I think the slide is stuck at the first one. I mean, the performance management.
Is
If in
it?
case you're moving it, it's not visible.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
can you see the challenges with traditional appraisal?
No,
Traditional
ma'am.
performance?
It is the first
Oh,
slide
hold
which
on.
you had started the discussion with.
will-
It's performance management.
Okay, no. When the slide has shifted, just 1 minute. I will just run through this. Visible? Is it visible?
Yes. Now the
Ma'am,
Challenges
it's
with
uploading. Yes. Yes, ma'am. It's very much visible.
visible, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
No, So this is what I was referring to. Thank you so much, Dr. Sapna. Okay. So basically what happens is we are not able to actually put any value to the decision making itself. It's not pointing us in any one particular direction. And then of course we all know about the basic, the bias itself, the error in the rating because of certain stereotypes held in the mind or certain perceptions. So there are so many challenges with traditional performance management. Now, the other part is what will happen if we managed, performance in a digital manner. Okay, so technology will make it possible for any business leader to track performance. Okay, so you will have real time monitoring. You can, you have advanced management systems like OKRs, etc. Which can help you track performance to the minutest levels. Now, by minutest, what I mean to say is, let's say there is a difference in the performance output of an employee at whatever be the level. That will reflect as a change in the organization's performance. So tracking at that level is very detailed, so that kind of input that system is able to generate. And it takes care of a whole range of activities, right from performance planning. So whether you want to set goals or whatever, to how you will rank people or how you want to rate them, how do you want to track your people, in terms of escalations and so on, and ultimately in terms of how you can measure. So the idea is that this time we are able to get access to a lot of data. More importantly, this data is able to drive decision making. So that is the biggest advantage of a digital performance system. So now let's take a look at the technical demonstration for this process. Dr. Pranati?
Yes, Dr. Abraham. Thank you. Let me just take a minute. Yeah, let me just share my screen. Okay. All of you can see the screen? Right.
Ma'am, we can see.
Okay. So let me just take it through performance management module. So basically, like Anupama said, today's performance management systems need to be evolved, wherein the focus shifts from measuring individual performance to rather than ensuring performance. The managers, like she pointed out, that managers would not like to take that blame of reducing probably appraisal rating and hike of their subordinates. So how do we ensure that performance is met? probably with using a lot of features like coaching, wherein the entire outlook of the performance management system, it cannot be just a measurement of individual performance, but more than aligning it with business outcomes. And how do we ensure that at the end of it the outcomes are being achieved, rather than focusing more on the what who has done and what who has not done. Okay, so that is what even the digital system will give that rather than measuring, ensuring performance philosophy. So right now I've just logged in as a user. So a user can be an employee, can be a manager, and he can be also a self, or he can be also a reviewer. So when I just say that as a self, so as a self, I have certain actions that need to be taken, which are like in pending for me. For example, I have to do my self goal setting. Okay, so that as I have to do, and when I just log in as in terms of all roles, I say, uh, then I can see that, as a manager, I also have to evaluate someone. Okay, that is also what I have to do, right? Uh, just give me a moment. Okay. So basically, what is required from the system is, take a situation wherein you have a goal setting pre-COVID situation, okay, wherein people have set up their targets, and they have said that the target setting is like that uh, pre-COVID situation, there are certain targets in terms of sales revenue, and then post-COVID situation, does the same targets will remain valid for the salespeople? Probably not, because there have been a lot of changes that has happened. So as a system, it should give me a flexibility to edit my goals. Okay, it should give me a flexibility to change my targets based on the situation. Okay, so I can just change my targets. I can just revise and review my goals again and again, which a system should, give me that flexibility and alignment. Okay, that is what a system should ensure. Another important thing is, as you can see in the system, I can have a different approaches of the performance appraisal system. For example, I can use balance scorecard, where, as you can see, 4 different perspectives have been defined: financial, customer, process, and people development. You can also, system will give me flexibility that I can also choose my own nomenclature if, for the balance scorecard. So, for example, I would have a learning and growth instead of people development. So I can use that as well, right? So these are several, possibilities which and flexibility that system and digital HR system can give me. Okay. Also, I can just see what is been the workflow. So I can configure as many as 7 actors in the workflow for reviewer, appraiser, and everyone. Okay, that is also what can be done as a system flexibility. Also, once now I have defined my goals for particular probably for a period, whether it is annual or whether it is quarterly goals or whether it is half yearly goals creation. Once I have done that, the next step that comes is about your goal approval process. So system will also give you flexibility. You can, if there are organization defined goals, for example, there would be a lot of cascading that will happen, top down. So that also can be is possible using system. Now, let's say I just want to view as a manager, I have the authority to approve the goals that have been defined, and anytime, I can just create and approve those goals. So as a manager, I have the flexibility to approve the goals. As you can see, the manager has approved all the goals, and the status has also changed. So I can get a live, real time feedback about where does my probably goal approval lies, or probably where does my what is the status of my performance appraisal. Has my manager reverted to my or approved my goals or not. So this is all real time that will happen, and as an employee, I can see. Now let's go to evaluation stage. So once your goal setting approval is done, then comes your evaluation stage. So as a employee, what I should be able to see, uh, you know I should be able to evaluate. So once that employee has evaluated, next comes the manager. As you can see in this case, currently employee has done self-evaluation, and then now it goes to a manager. Now the best part of system is that you can have multiple parameters during evaluation. So most of the organizations will have, apart from goals, competency evaluation as well. So as I can see, I can just write down what have been my achievements with respect to my targets. Okay, 100 was, and I just say it's been 90, and I just can give the rating. As a manager, I'm giving the rating. So then once I have evaluated all the goals, next comes is the competencies part. So your competencies also, which have been defined based on role, because organizations would have a competency structure defined based on the roles. So that can be also done, can be set up in the system. Then you can also have development needs. So ultimately it is all a talent management concept, wherein your LMS, PMS, and rewards and recognition should come together. So whatever I have been assessed, based on which my developmental plan needs to be defined, my learning needs to be defined, and that is how you can just add up to the development plan, and that is how, and based on which your learning path, or probably you would be recommended for certain courses that will happen. So this is how integrated approach needs to be developed. Next important thing is about my career planning or my succession planning, for which a very important parameter is about the potential assessment. So you need to know, as an individual, what are my next steps. So as a manager, I will say what is potential of let's say as a leader, or what is the next probably position that he can take up. So I can just have that assessment also in the system defined, which goes as an input for my 9-box grid, wherein I have the performance potential graph with me, and I can just understand in which position do I lie. So that is what the best part of system, and all these entire assessment parameters are configurable, and you can choose between what kind of goal assessment do I want, competencies do I want it or not. Then does it have to be quarterly assessed? Does it have to be frequently monthly assessment, half yearly, or even annually? So based on organizational policy, I can define and choose what kind of different assessment parameters I want. So then the last part is about the, like I said, rewards and recognition. So whether I can recommend for further future promotion or not. So that is how your assessment should, and everything happens just in a single evaluation screen. That's the best part of having the system. That's how digital systems can give me that advantage of having that more of a collaborative culture in place, where more of a coaching approach, rather than just having that individual measurement assessment in the system that I can have. Now, this is all about having the performance appraisal system, whether it is balanced scorecard, or probably whether it is MBO or a QRA method. Now, what is it? Let me also showcase some of the latest methodology that has been really going on in the industry. That most of the industry are using this methodology of OKR, which is nothing but objectives and key results. So what is this objectives and key results? Let me just take you through. So basically, like I said, we have to ensure whether the organizational objectives are being achieved or not. Okay, so it's not about as an individual how I have performed, because as you know, each organization structure is all about the collaboration. It's all about how do we work together, and how do we channelize each other's strength. Okay, that is how basis which the organization structure are being created. So how do I ensure that at the end of it, I don't, give more significance on, as an individual, but I would like to have it more from a perspective of organization. As an organization, how do I perform at the end of it, right? Whether my outcomes and are being achieved or not. So that's how the OKR methodology will ensure. This is being a methodology which first started with Google, wherein they started assessing all their engineer team, product team, aligning with their entire organization objective, and that's how it started taking up over the industry, and most of the organization are trying to adopt this methodology. The best part of this methodology, it's a very short-term oriented, that you can you just need to set up your quarterly goals, and whether which can come from your annual operating plans. And so for example, as you can see, I just have to set up for a particular quarter one, quarter two. I just have to see what are the different objectives that are being set. So as you can see, this is a OKR dashboard. As a user, I can see that there are 4 objectives which are defined for me, out of which this one is the top line objective, which is an individual objective. Then there is one organization-wide defined objective. So I have aligned my key results with this organization objective. Next objective is set with respect to team, wherein my entire sales team is probably aligned onto that particular objective. For example, increasing customer retention is what sales team's objective. And then there is a 4th objective, which is also for the team. So you can add up objective. When you want to add objective, you can choose whether I want to align it with respect to objective, organization objective, team, and individual. Of course, the organization objective would be set by the organization or administrators, CEOs, and all. And then everyone in the team starts, aligning their individual objective, team objective with the organization objective. Okay. Then you can also define what is the start date and end date for its achievement. Okay. And then that's how you can add objective. Now, once you have added the objective, next is for example, take this as an organization objective. So I would like to align my key result to this organization objective. So as you can see, many people apart from me, so I am Mr. Manoj. Apart from Manoj, you can see Suresh, Nitin, they have also aligned their objective. So you can see the entire alignment that at one go, everyone's in the organization hierarchy have started aligning their key results with respect to the organization objective. That's how, if I do something as a Manoj, as an individual, if I just perform onto certain my key results, okay, immediately, that is how, which we call it as a regular check-ins. And today's performance management system has to be very much, regularly being, tracking continuous performance review, which, all the organizations do. So I just say that, I just say, no, I think I'm a little bit lagging behind. Okay. And this could be at a risk. Okay. And the moment I do that, you can say that the overall percentage has, has changed. Let me just further probably align it. So I'll say still I have done, so you can see that from 74%, the tracking has changed to 72%. Okay? Immediately, whatever change, now this is the downward movement that I have done. Let's say I do certain upward movement. Okay, so I say with respect to customer retention, probably I'm pretty much on track, and I would like to say the progress is of 90%. Okay, and I just say that it's on track. Immediately you can see that it's been increased to 80%. Now let's see how it has impacted the overall organization objective. Okay, you can see that from 64% it has increased to 66% now. Okay, that's how in anyone in the even the bottommost level of the hierarchy has done any contribution to and any achievement with respect to their individual goals, it will reflect automatically onto the organizational objectives achievement. That is the best part of the OKR system, and these are all aligning. So everyone in the team and in the organizations have aligned their key results and objective to overall organization objective. That's how the alignment can happen even at the bottommost level of your organization hierarchy. And this is how you can keep a track as a leader, as a CXO. I can have that ready real time track on the dashboard itself as to where I am heading in when I talk about achievement of my organizational goals. That's the best part of today's having digital platforms and methodologies like OKR on the system, which any of the organization can think about, can give you an advantage of continuous performance with a very collaborative work culture, right? So I can relate, I can define team based key results. I can align my key result with my team members key results. So that's how the culture of collaboration, wherein now you can immediately sense that nowhere I'm talking about how much as an individual I have achieved. All I'm talking is about as an organization how I have achieved. That's how the shift from measuring performance or individual performance to ensuring performance happens. So this is how the best part of having the digital systems and methodologies in place, which will give you all the advantages which current business scenario would define. For example, having all the dynamic scenarios, okay, which can be handled and think about in terms of business outcomes. So that's all about performance management system. Over to you.
Thank you, Pranati. So we'll go into the third module, which is our learning management system, LMS. So this is again something which is very interesting because something which all of us can relate to, being in the area of academics, students, professors, all continuously learning. Now, ideally, if you see in the organization, HR leaders are under a lot of pressure from CEOs to ensure their employees have skills for the future. So this is very important to note. So despite all the money that people are spending on training, despite all the various kinds of training need analysis which are carried out, 60% have expressed that there is a need, that skills which are required for the future are not there. Now that aside, if you look at the report itself, 30% of skills become redundant over a 3-year frame. So no matter what you learn, every 3 years it requires some kind of a polish, some kind of a upgradation. Out of the various trainings that we do for people, only 54% people are actually using, okay, out of all the trainings that they attend. Now, with dynamic skilling strategies, 75% is the expected skill usage. So what are these dynamic skilling strategies? This is where we are able to generate a training need instantly and deliver that need. So let's say it's the month of June and we say that, okay, in this month, I want to train somebody in this thing. And let's say we are able to immediately action it, then what will happen is the expected usage is 75%. So there is a huge difference, So this is the reason why LMS, technology is very required. Because the new age learning platforms, they're very omnipresent, it's anytime, anywhere. It's very self-paced. People can learn when they like. The other thing is that you can have AI powered coaching with human touch. Now, see, artificial intelligence is there everywhere. Now, if you looked at concepts like, say, natural language processing, for example, it enables AI to be able to communicate as humanly as possible. So it's very seamless, the interaction is very natural. It uses proper language and the machines are trained to pick those cues and understand those cues and respond. So that is a very big advantage. There is enhanced content curation. So like if you remember at the start, we spoke of gamification. Now, today, if you see, once upon a time, people were doing notes and classroom classes, and then we had PowerPoints and all. Today, it is a mix of so many things. So there are games, there are activities, simulations, you can have your own audio and videos. So your content itself is curated in so many ways so that your learner, no matter what his preferred learning style, everybody gets a high quality and a proper kind of learning. And most importantly is the impact analysis of L&D initiatives. Now, what we notice is organizations don't generally like to embark into this for many reasons. So let's say it's a month of June and I have trained some people in sales. And let's say July, these people sell very well. I'm never able to ascertain for a fact that whether it was due to my training or whether the competitor slashed his prices or maybe some boss they didn't get along, that guy quit and went, or whatever it is. So we are never able to isolate those individual effects. So that is the reason why this impact analysis becomes very easy and possible in a learning, in a digitalized learning platform. So what we will do is we will now take a look at the tech demo of the digital LMS. Pranati?
Yes, thanks, Anupama. Right. So, as Anupama said rightly, we need to have a more curated dashboard, more user-friendly dashboards when it comes to your learning management system. So, as you can see, today's learning platforms are anytime, anywhere. Okay. So, wherein all you just need to have access of certain courses, and then probably you can take it up anytime and through any device, whether it's through mobile or whether it's through your tab or whether it's through your laptop. That is how the best part of today's learning, which is omnipresent. So the digital platform will also give you all those benefits. Apart from that, like right now I'm logged in as a admin. So I can set up entire courses. So this is how my courses currently will appear on my screen. Then that's about your home screen. What are the available courses, okay, which are being set up for me, or which I have defined? It's probably for the other users. Then I can also have a calendar scheduling, defining a training calendar. I can also have a look at individual courses. And as an administrator, I would have a lot of flexibility in terms of what kind of content you want to enable, in terms of whom do you want to enable. So I can govern who would be the users, okay, who would like to choose for particular courses. So based on the training need analysis, whatever training courses that have been defined for a particular set of group can be defined. Then you can set up all the privacy rules. You can also manage the course categories, okay, with respect to, for example, how do you want the content to be visible onto the screen, okay. So that dashboard aspect also you can take over. Then also what kind of grading mechanism I would like to have. So you can have uh, various grading mechanism as well. So for example, I can define grading scales. I can also have certain bracketing done. For example, somebody who scores between 100 to 93% would be given an A category. So even that categorization can be defined for particular assessment or for a particular course. Also, what you can do is a lot of plugins you can have. You can connect it with all the external plugins. You can also define basic your competencies. You can define a lot of frameworks. Basis there would be certain desired competency framework for a particular role, and you can track down your learning courses with respect to your desired versus actual competencies. Let's say I'm at a competency level 4 when it comes to communication skills, and as a if I have to go on to the next level, I have to go to different competency, probably increase it by one level to competency level 5, and that is what if I want to achieve that competency level. So based on those competencies defined, there will be certain courses would be aligned for me. So I have to take a few courses which can increase my competency level from level 4 to 5, and I can be eligible for my probably next level of promotion. So that's how learning plans would be integrated with your succession planning. Those will be integrated with your performance appraisals. Okay, that's how the system will. You can also have a badges. If I complete a particular course, so then I should be awarded what kind of different badges. Currently, there are no badges being configured, but you can configure those badges as well, which can give us a certain instant gratification to employees. So that's how today's learning management has to be done. So I just go to courses. Let's say I go to communication skills. Okay, so I can just see whatever the learning plan topic wise that has been defined for me. Okay, and based on it, so I have to take up this interactive video and you know, and then probably I will have to take up certain quiz. So that's how the learning content can be enabled. Now you can have the content category can be anything. So let me just show you. Let's say I just have to. What I have to do is, I've just edited particular course, and I just go to this course, and let's say I want to add the content. So how do I add a content? Let's say for topic 2 or topic 1, I just add a content. So what kind of different contents we can have it in terms of assignment. We can have something in terms of external tool if you want to use probably you want to redirect it to a certain Coursera or probably Udemy. You want to redirect it to, you want to have a interactive content quiz. That's how I would like to have different contents. I just want to upload certain reference material for reading, so I can do that as well. So that's a different kind of activities. Course content can be created. You can create your own quiz, assignments. So let's say I choose that I want a own quiz. I just go there and can define what kind of different content that I would like to have. And the basis which you can define that. And I'll just go to save and I've just added save and display quiz. Now I have to put the questions for the quiz. Okay, so I'll just go to edit quiz and just add certain questions. So let's say I want to add a question. So what kind of different questions that even that is so much readily, all the options are available, whether that is in terms of subjective, whether it is in terms of multiple choice, true or false, entire options I can have, and I can just create the question bank for the quiz. That's how you can create content with respect to any kind of categorization that is possible of the system. So that is all about LMS or learning management. Any questions, any queries? I'm sure all of you are I believe probably second semester or fourth semester students, HR students. Right? Right, Dr. Sapna? I believe they all are fourth semester or second semester students.
Sorry, doctor. I missed listening to you. Please tell me.
I am just asking that I believe all of them are your MBA HR students, right? Either second semester or...
These are second semester 2 students, ma'am. And very few are from fourth semester students. Majority are from SEM 2 students.
Okay, SEM 2 students. They have just started taking up their specialization courses, I believe. And
okay.
Right. So
you can always share the yes.
Yeah. So any question from the students, and please feel free if you have any question with respect to process perspective, with respect to platform perspective. Dr. Anupama and myself would be really happy to answer your all your doubts. It could be any random question that comes to your mind. Don't bother about what is if I'm wrong. So, but feel free to post questions, because that's how you can make you
I think the semester 2 students, they have started with the introduction of human resource management functions. So I think the demonstration and the few specialized concepts which we have spoken about, like I can understand how much in detail, in depth you have discussed about, the dashboards and the different platforms to be used for profiling. So I think they are absorbing still, like, this is all, it is huge and vast area,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Maybe they will be able to relate to this better maybe once they have covered the processes.
Yes.
So I know. Once they get
Possibly.
into the area, they would realize like this how important it was.
No, that's okay. It is just an orientation, so it's all right. There is very possible that they're not able to relate to it at this time.
Right.
But then I wonder like how much into depth you guys have got the knowledge and expertise into the practical implementation. I mean, great going.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna.
So
Shall
do we have?
take a look? Follow.
No, please go ahead, please.
Yeah. So
We have a very last one, just a little bit on dashboards, I think, right, Pranoti? So
yes,
that
yes.
should
So
take
I
us.
got a question, Anupama. So Ramshankar Singh, how HRIS integrates with this process, right?
Okay.
So, right.
Pranoti, you want to answer this? Would you like to answer
You
this?
can go ahead.
Okay, so basically, see what HRIS does, it allows you to put all the other processes, it's under one canvas. So it's like just like when you were doing the demo, right? You saw there was recruitment also, there's performance also, there's learning also. So let's say, for example, I have hired somebody new. Then I can say that this person is scheduled for, say, induction training. Then this person goes into induction. Then once he goes into that induction, then we say, okay, these are the contents. So this person will, go through his learning, whatever. Then once he has gone through it, then there will be quizzes, etc. assigned. So basis his completion of the learning, it may be linked into his performance rating. So wahan pe there will be a condition which will say that has his employee completed his test? Has he finished his learning? कितना मॉड्यूल खत्म हुआ है? तो उसके अगेंस्ट में basis his score he may be given some rating. तो इस तरीके से the HRIS integrates each of these processes. Each one gets linked to the other depending upon what is necessary to be linked. So recruitment may not be linked to be learning other than induction. But if you see, the induction itself may be linked to his confirmation. Yeah, end of probation, or maybe he may get a training recommendation. ये हो सकता है. Does this answer your query? I hope it answers this query.
Yeah. I hope your query is answered. Right.
है ना? So what we'll do is we'll take them through dashboards briefly. है ना? Let's do that.
Yes. Sure.
Okay. See, basically dashboards and analytics, you'll have to take a look at it this way. See, we think as people and as employees, and especially HR function people, we think value is what we do, but it is not always what we do. It is not our action. It is what others get from what we do. And this statement is truest for the HR, because if you really look at it, no matter how many fancy things we do, no matter how many jargons we put, ultimately we work for people. It's people at the core of it. And that is exactly where this thing comes, because ultimately when you're talking about a whole lot of people geographically dispersed, working in different functions, handling different roles at different kind of levels, if you see, if for any organization or any head of the organization to take good decisions, he needs to know what his people are doing. That becomes very important. So what are some of the challenges in this thing? So the first thing is static information. Information at a point in time. We were not able to get real-time information. So that was one big challenge. The second is a limited presentation. So how fancy can you get? You will have an Excel, you can put it in a table. There was a lot of limitation in terms of report formatting and stuff. The other is that data is stored in multiple systems managed by different teams. So let's say I ask a recruitment team to give me information on, say, hiring, and I ask the accounts people also to give me, there is a very high likelihood that two figures will not match exactly, because they would have processed it as per their systems. The recruitment people will be speaking of their systems. So this kind of confusion can occur because each one is only taking responsibility for their own limited function or for their own work. Okay. Also, the other thing is, because different functions operate differently, it is not easy for us to compare across functions and processes. So that means, supposing I have to look at, say, a quality report, say, made by production department. So quality may view it in a certain way. Production may give it to me in a certain way. Maybe the internal auditor comes to me with something else. So what happens is, each function and process itself, it may not be possible for me to compare. I may have a situation where I'm comparing an apple with an orange. Then orange chala gaya to ek angur liye, and then I'm comparing it with watermelon. This kind of a thing can very, very well happen. So obviously what happens then, there is inconsistency. I have a lot of reports, I may have a lot of data on hand, but I'm not able to go anywhere with it. Therefore, what we have is this whole thing of digital dashboards and analytics, which are very simple. They are nothing, the name is very fancy, but ideally, if you see, it is just different ways of presenting your own information, the organization's information, in a far more with lot of visual representations, so it's very easy for you to just look at it and understand what exactly is going right or wrong. So the last bit that we want to showcase is this digital dashboard. Pranoti, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Anupama. So everything boils down to your how do you justify that you have done something? Okay, unless and until you measure it, it is not valued. Okay, anything that can be measured is only valued. So quantification is really important aspect of all of your efforts. So whether at the end of it, today's probably how do we measure that all of you have understood what we have achieved? Probably, so we need to have certain analytics in place. Okay, so that is what analytics would ensure. So we have gone are the days when the HR has to do a lot of formally build up while creating those HR metrics. Okay, so when I say attrition analysis, then we need to think, okay, whether my denominator and numerator are correct or not, whether my formula is correct or not with respect to attrition analysis, joining count, and then people who have exited and new joinees, and then how do I create a well-established formula. And so those days are gone. Now today HR need not to be a data scientist, wherein they need to think about a lot of statistical aspect. There are simpler tools like Power BI dashboard, which can give HR just on a single dashboard a lot of insight. Okay, so for example, as you can see into the screen, let's just take example. This is a simple employee master. Now let's say, as an organization, I want to see how I'm doing with respect to gender diversity. Okay, what is my ratio of male versus female? And then let's say, okay, if I have to further boil it down, I want to see who are my, with respect to people who have recently joined my organization, who have spent less than 3 months. So I can say how is the gender diversity of the latest recruitment. Then also you can see that. Okay, so this is how different aspect that further you can drill it down, and just with a click of a mouse I can generate that useful information. Now this is a simple descriptive statistics. When it comes to analytics, you will have a predictive statistics, you will have a predictive analytics, you will have a prescriptive analytics. So let's take an example of attrition analysis. I just want to do an attrition analysis as to understand that what are the top reasons basis which people are trying to quit, and I would like to drive certain useful insights from it, so that I can say that I can say, would like to draw certain insights with respect to, and I can say that, okay, where should I focus my retention efforts? Okay. So as I just understand right now, I have just, let me just have it for all. Okay, I'll just select here from all. Okay. And let's say I want to do it company-wide analysis. Okay. So now I know that what are the topmost reasons for people to quit. As you can see, better opportunity and higher pay is the topmost reason wherein I have selected a particular age group. So you can see that probably millennials and Gen Z, they're quitting because of this reason. Let's say I want to further drill it down. Okay. So who are the people who are giving me this highest reason? So further, if I drill it down, then I can, also come to know what has been the attrition trend. And let's say I see it in other report that, okay, so people who have probably spent between 3 years to 1 year, 1 to 3 years, have highest tendency to quit the organization. So probably now I can redirect all my retention initiatives with respect to these group. That's how the focus initiatives can happen with respect to your, when you have all the statistics in place or the data in place, you can derive useful insights out of it and can, convert into actionable, initiatives. That's just one trend, attrition. We can also have a lot of other metrics which can, appear as a dashboard for HR. Just to have a quick look, okay, what has been acceptance ratio? Excellent. My recruitment team seems to be doing a fantastic job. As the acceptance ratio of candidates being offered is 100%. People are, have accepted offers. There are no rejection. Can give me a good insight as to, yes, probably we are a good bench salary. We are giving a good compensation with this as compared to industry. Could be just one of the insights. So based on that, you can think about generating those dashboards and analytics considering any HR function, whether it is PMS. So let's say employee rating by manager 1. So like Anupama was saying that what has been the central tendency of manager to rate the employee, I can just see that, and I can further probably I want to see department wise. Okay. So how do I do it? Okay, I want to see it, let's say, particular department-wise. So I'll say that I want to see it in terms of facilities department. So I will just filter my data and I will get result as to how facilities department is having a trend of rating employees and overall distribution, how it has been. So I can just, focus on particular attribute, branch, particular group, and can generate a lot of useful insights out of measuring how my HR functions are being carried forward, whether it is with respect to PMS, LMS also. Then can also see that what are the top 5 courses probably my people are taking. Okay, how has been the course distribution with respect to role wise? So this is category wise distribution of course, how people have been doing it. Okay, and let's say I have to take it in terms of what are the top 5 courses which are being undertaken. So I can see that essential modules is the one of the top 5 courses which most of the people are doing. Now let's say I want to see it only for again operations department. Okay, so what is their topmost? Again, you can see that for them, assessment of enabling team is the topmost course that they are more interested in. Probably I can realign my learning initiatives for that particular course, which are being mostly preferred by people or employees across organization. That's how you can drive a lot of generate a lot of analytics and drive a useful insights out of it, which can decide your actionable initiatives with respect to HR. So everything is this also gives a best source to showcase whatever you are doing as a HR team, okay, to your management and to show in terms of your outcomes. Okay, and this is all will help you to take fact based data driven. Okay, fact-based, data-driven, decision making. That is what going to help you. And now let's talk about predictive analytics. So, for example, you are at you have joined. What is a joining prediction? So, based on the current employee strength, you can determine what would be, down the month, probably in November, my employee strength would be. Okay? Also, you can have a attrition prediction. So, this is all you can just with a matter of configuring certain dashboards. You can generate a lot of useful insights for your organization. Over to you, Anu.
Great. So that kind of finishes off our discussion on the 4 core modules. Okay, so I'll just take you all through the last bit, just a few things. As summary comments, you could say, and we'll just share some. Okay, so basically, one thing that we wanted to just share and drive home here is that, see, this digitalization of HR is not an option anymore. So this thing is here to stay, and it is going to only get more in depth, or it's going to, take over HR in a bigger way. Okay, so that is the first thing. So HR digital competencies will become quite vital for HR professionals. If you see earlier on, it was probably, it was at mid transition, but today, if you see this skill is going to be important, not only for people, definitely important for people at entry level, and still important for people at mid or senior levels. Digitally managed HR is also going to reshape organizational communication, the way in which people are going to interact, the way in which organizations will engage with their staff, how they're going to be tracking performance, how organizations are even set to grow. So the impact of this entire digitalization of HR is going to be quite immense. Which brings us to what we do, So Zeal per se is into this. We certify people. So we have certified people in digital HR. Okay, in terms of how they can adopt that kind of system thinking, how they can use these modules, how to work on those modules, So this is something, and especially for MBA students, this is a very important thing, because we find a huge gap, when people join in, but all companies are working on some kind of systems. So they do not know those systems, So that's the reason why we do this. Now, basically, what happens is when you're taking a digital HR certification, so here the basic thing will be to understand how HR department can be digitalized and know how to use those different modules. So typically, when people join in, they're put into recruitment, performance, learning, whatever it is, whichever role they're offered. To understand how that particular role can be managed digitally is something that we teach, and plus we teach them how to do analytics. Okay, so this is a basic thing. It will cover also some of the latest technology concepts which are related to HR, like, design thinking in HR. There are blockchain applications. Then we speak of the agile people operations framework. So all of these are things that we kind of help our participants learn. The other thing that we do is your HR automation specialist. Okay, so again, if you see in the earlier course, the duration we have kept it flexible depending upon how much people want to absorb or what they want to sign up for. HR automation specialist is again a slightly more intense program, but it takes a different track. So this will help you with skills required for HRMS implementation. So let's say you are in the HR of an organization, but you need to know how to implement the HRMS. So what are the kind of things that you need to focus on in terms of, say, configuration or understanding the data, or how to go about it step by step. Plus, we will give you, we coach you in terms of what is the implementation process, a step-by-step way in which you can go ahead and implement it. So this is an automation specialist course. Besides that, we have several small modular training programs. Okay, these are just customized, which are for a small duration, 6 to 8 hours. So we have people analytics, where you say become a specialist in people analytics, and you demand your seat at the strategy table. So here what we do is basically just do basic HR analytics skill set to understand how to make people based decision making and so on. Then we teach HR metrics. We have sessions on reporting, So where we ensure, see, HR is an area which is constantly on the need for reporting. There's every day almost HR people have to report to the leadership in the organization. So what are the critical HR metrics that need to be looked at? How can we automate that reporting? So all those kind of processes, we train people in that. Then we have cognitive recruitment with AI and ML. Now, this is a course which is not only effective for students, it is also, we have participants from who are recruiters, who have shown an interest in this, because their need, to churn out, for them, the competition is that how quickly are they able to push their candidates to the organization. So equipping themselves with this skill will enable, people to become a very effective and a very quick recruiter. So understanding how you can make use of AI, how you can, use the ML. So those kind of things we teach in this. Then you have HR data analyst, where you are able to just unlock and look at the entire set of data in your organization, because each and every department will have different kind of data. So how are you going to be able to make use of that data and put it into the practical context? So that is something that we would do. Then, of course, you have slightly different kind of programs, which is about employee experience and design thinking. Now, if you see, first earlier we used to say, HR is a stakeholder, then the employees are internal customers. So today, just as we speak of external customers, employee experience is very important. If the experience is not good, then people go and write things on media. It draws negative attention. So how do we make use of the technology to drive a very good employee experience? What is the concept of design thinking in HR? So these are certain things that we look at. Then blockchain in HR, where we say that, we speak totally about the HR data, which is very, very critical, how important it is and how important it is for us to keep that data safe. So we look at that. Then digital HR strategy itself is like, supposing the organization is not yet digital, then how can they go into a digital world? So what kind of a digital strategy should the organization, adopt? So helping people design their own digital HR systems. And finally, of course, analytics using dashboards, which is entirely, you can use it not just for the HR, but also business leaders, strategic insights, So all of that also is something that we need to, we do. So these are some of the programs which can be customized. So what we'll do is if you all are interested, then definitely we will welcome you to, express your interest to us. You can write to us, and we will be happy to get in touch with you, because we'll be starting, programs now in April. So especially because vacations are around the corner, April, May, at least everybody gets a break, and you can use that time to, put it to good use by picking up these kind of skills. So that is something which we wanted to share. Pranuti, you want to add on something?
Yes, no, absolutely. As you have mentioned it correctly, and I think all of them being HR students, definitely they are going to learn the domain part. They are going to learn the functional HR part in their curriculum. But when it comes to implementing it into organization, when they'll have to, when they'll start working, of course they need to get themselves acquainted with how with these digital platforms and digital tools and applications, which possibly they will have to make use of while delivering those HR practices to their organization. So I believe that it comes as a very important I would say a topic or even a course for them. So yeah. So Dr. Sapna is asking on a virtual platform, right, or offline mode. So we conduct this. Most of the sessions are online. Okay, and wherein we have the virtual platform, and so that's how since like I said, today LMS has to be anytime anywhere concept. So not only that, we conduct some of the live sessions, we also make available some recorded sessions as well, where based on the convenience, students or participants can take it up. So both the options are available. Yes. All right. So can I just request Hardik to just quickly showcase? Yeah. So this is a feedback form. I would request everyone. Yeah. Dr. Sapna has one more query. we have tie-up with institutes. Yes, we had institutional tie-ups as well. So we have done that with MSU University, that is Faculty of Social Work. We have also done with tie-up with AISW, that is Anand Institute of Social Work, wherein we have conducted the digital HR certification program for their alumni, for their students actually, and many industry people also had been part of those programs. So we definitely do the institutional tie-ups. Up with the organizations for placement, as means what is it that you can just let me know, Dr. Sapna?
I think, Pranati, what Dr. Sapna is referring is like, for students after the digital certification, whether they may be placed.
Actually, that.
Yes. See,
That-
absolutely. So this digital HR certification will definitely, increase their employability.
Statement got.
Dr. Sapna, you're breaking.
Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Up and
Dr. Sapna, your voice is breaking. Yeah.
it turned out to be two statements. So my question was, do you have tie-ups with the organ?
So I think I got the gist of your question. So by the end of you are saying that will they be placed post this certification, and do we have a tie-up with organizations? So let me just tell you, we as our organization, so Zing Academy is a part of Zing HR parent company, which has a lot of client interface and interaction. So we have around 500 plus clients, which are enterprise clients and groups who are associated with us, whether it's Aditya Group, whether it's Mahindra Group, or all the big groups, and as well as enterprise level clients. So we as a wherein they may use our product. So basically, although it's not a direct confirmed employment guarantee, but with respect to employment skills, definitely it's something that they will be gaining at the end of it. Okay, and I'm sure in the market, even if they brand themselves somebody who has acquired the digital HR skills, naturally their employability is definitely going to increase more as compared to other people. So that's the direct benefit that it will have. So with respect to employability, of course, if they can brand themselves as certified digitally, and directly, although we don't have a tie-up with client, probably organizations in terms of employment where we guarantee, but yes, I can say that we have a lot of client interaction, direct client interaction with all the CHROs, because this is a product that is being being taken by all the HR fraternities. So all our contacts are there with all the CHROs of industry. That we.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Pranati, for answering in detail. And I hope the students are making a note of all the contact details which Mr. Hardik is sharing and presenting. So can we conclude this session, madam, with your permission, Dr. Anupama and Dr. Pranati?
Yes, please.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay, let me just brief out, though you guys have done a wonderful session and given a lot of insights on the HR analytics and digital transformation, what had happened in the past few years. I majority of the participants who were listening to you guys, though, they couldn't join in the link directly, but we have kept it open in the classroom. So they were watching us and they were watching you and listening to you very carefully. So I hope they must have got an idea like how much they need to to understand about the transformation, that too, especially with respect to HR. Completely the processes have transformed right from performance management to behavioral analysis. You have spoken about MBTI and Ocean, how emotionally candidates are being, scrutinized, based on their personalities, performance management, be it learning development, and analyzing the attrition happening in the organization, and lots of other things. I know the list is long to, again reiterate like what you all have discussed in the last 2 hours. But from, on behalf of my department and on behalf of my dean, Dr. Bijal Zaveri, I want to extend, a lot of thanks to Dr. Pranati and Dr. Anupama, and also I would mention Nidhi, who had been coordinating with me since last 1 month for this session. Not to forget her. And on behalf of Parul University, definitely, we want you guys to come over physically and take a session for the day, because there are a lot of things which could have been discussed, and the demonstration you have given was extremely useful. But having said so, that the semester 2 students are still the beginners in the HR area, definitely they must have got an outlook about the important things and how much they need to prepare themselves if at all they are planning to take HR. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Pranati and Dr. Anupama.
Thank you, Dr. Sapna of Parul University.
Yeah, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time and interest. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks to all the participants who have been listening us and watching us. Thank you so much for being patient listeners. Thank you.